Hey everyone, Austin Swanson here, aka 24/7. Today I'm discussing Carvana and my recent car buying experience with them. Um, to start, this should go without saying, but this is not a paid advertisement from Carvana. I wish it was. That'd be actually amazing. And although I'm a Carvana shareholder, uh, the reason for doing this post, I simply just wanted to share what ended up being an overall positive experience. So others, if you're looking to buy a car from Carvana, you know what to expect and how this compares to alternatives. As well as if you're interested in Carvana as an investment, this should provide the perspective of the customer. So as an introduction, after ordering my second vehicle with Carvana, and I'll explain why this is my second one, after ordering my second vehicle with Carvana this week and receiving the vehicle earlier this week, I'm quite positive I will never buy a car any other way. And I'll discuss that in this post. It only took 5 minutes to order. I mean, which is actually just insane. I was just talking to someone, the other day, and they were just like, yeah, but when I bought my new car, it only took like 2 hours. And I'm like, what? Like, when there's options out there like Carvana, they only take 5 minutes. Just, it blows me away. Throughout the whole experience, there was no used car sales person or commission agents involved at all. It was all on your own through the app or online. That was it. There was only one person to call me during the whole time, and that was after I already submitted the order, after it was already done. And they were just calling to let me know, hey, the scheduled pickup time, everything's on track, and do you have any questions? That was it. And then, this week I picked up my vehicle. Since then, I've had no issues at all. It was the easiest transaction ever, and I'll go into details of the whole thing there. I mean, start to finish, Carvana was by far the best car buying experience I've had, as well as, dealing with my family growing up and us buying cars, at dealerships. This has been way better. And we've had some, crazy things happening, and so it's like actually having a good car buying experience and actually, being happy afterwards, and you can just focus on the car. It's just amazing. So, Carvana's slogan is, is Carvana, the new way to buy a car. Well, I believe it is the only way to buy a car. And I'm just playing off of their thing of the new way to buy a car. I edited this post and then added the only way. But it really is. I mean, and we're going to discuss this. Like, after you'll even see, like, I started looking at alternatives, and it was just like, why would I do that? Like, it just doesn't even make sense. And I'll talk about this, but I had a first order. I ended up canceling it. And I started looking at alternatives. I'm like, I just can't go with anyone but Carvana. Right? Like, there literally was, it just doesn't make logical sense to go with anybody else. So literally, in my eyes, the only way to buy a car is through Carvana. So as I've been mentioning, that I had a first order with Carvana. And so I started out by ordering this different vehicle, and that's different than the one I just picked up this week. So originally, I was looking everywhere, including dealerships in my state, because I was willing to drive anywhere in my state to pick up a car. I was looking at CarMax, and there is a CarMax in my state. Vroom, I was looking at that. Shift, I just barely looked at it, didn't really give too much thought to. I did look to see if they had any of the cars I was looking for. They had zero. And I looked, of course, at Carvana. There were, in terms of the dealerships, in my, like, the physical dealerships, and I could go online and look, there was not, at the time I was looking at originally for the first order, there was nothing that matched my criteria. And here's the thing. I was very specific with what I wanted. I wanted a Lincoln MKC. Don't ask me why. I mean, we just narrowed it down. Like, we have a Ford Edge right now, and so we were, looking at something similar, maybe a little bit, just different. And so we went with the Lincoln MKC. There were specific years that we were looking at. I think it was above like a 2018, less than 40,000 miles, black or gray exterior, a black leather interior, and remote start. So there was something very specific. And so when you start doing that, it's like, it could be that there was all these, dealerships in my state where they had all those criteria, except there wasn't a remote start, right? Or they didn't have that color. Well, then I didn't want it. That's what I was looking for. CarMax actually had one. They had one when I searched it through, CarMax online, but it wasn't at the local dealership, like the one that was in my state. It was somewhere else. And so to get that, I had to pay a shipping fee, which is not a delivery fee. Because actually, and I have a picture of this right here. It might be a little small, but there was, at my location, there's no delivery, right? So, like, I think at some of them, they do a delivery fee. But I would have to drove to pick it up, which was fine. But I also, to get the vehicle there, to get that one vehicle, the one that they had, which maybe I didn't even spend much time on it, I had to pay a shipping fee to get it to CarMax, like the one in my state, and then drive 2 hours away to pick it up. and it just, I wasn't, again, there was only one and I wasn't really interested in it. Vroom did not have any vehicles that matched that criteria at that time. With a different vehicle, I was just trying to find out more information, so I added it to my cart of my app. And what I did not know at this time was that I was going to get, then over the next 24 hours, 4 different calls from Vroom. And that really got me interested, because I was like thinking it was like Carvana, where there was no commission agents. And so they ended up, you know, they sent me, they were calling me. I don't know if they left any voicemails, but then they ended up emailing me as well. And the job title, I searched it on their job listings to try to find, is this like a commission agent? And I found something super similar, which was this sales professional. I will have a link down to this post down below. I would recommend just looking at this in detail. And it says, you know, there's a sales professional, there's competitive commission, and they, you know, at the end it says navigate the entire sales process, including elevating pain, gaining commitment, and closing the deal. So here's a funny thing. I mean, it says elevating pain, like to increase the pain and close the deal. I'm going to take a screenshot of that, because, you know, I'm 99% sure. I'm 99.9% sure. Almost 100% sure. It's supposed to be alleviating pain, right? Spelled completely different, but close. But what's so funny of this, I put a link to here, and I just remembered this from before. They have the 2020 Super Bowl commercial, not 2021. That was just aired, you know, on Sunday this week. The 2021, the one year before, I believe it was 2020 at least. Is this Vroom commercial where they literally talk about like essentially torturing someone, and at the end it's like, oh, it's painless. They use the word pain in it, and so I just made the comment like, hey, maybe it wasn't a spell there. Maybe that's how they came up with the commercial. That I just got a kick out of that. So, anyways, Carvana, then, when I started looking at there, they had multiple versions of the car I was looking for. After going even that specific criteria, there was still, I believe, for that narrow, at that time, there was 4 of them, which is actually kind of surprising. Like, and I had that written down, and I think I even tweeted about it, because then later on, there was, you know, when I did my second order, there was tons. But at that time, there was still 4, which is more than anywhere else. But that gave me more options to choose from, like different prices, because of different features and different mileages on those cars. They also had no shipping fees to access those different cars, even though they were somewhere else and they would have to be transported to, you know, closer to where I live. There was no shipping fee, and they had no delivery fee as well, if I'm, you know, got it within one of their markets. And so I'll discuss that in a little bit later. And better yet, the whole time there was no salespeople. I simply ordered on the app and completed the purchase within minutes. And honestly, at that time, it was like, this is the best buying experience I ever had. And I, you know, while I couldn't test drive, and that's something a lot of people talk about. And what's funny, as I did a test drive before I actually completed the purchase, and I'll talk about that with the second order. But I never get anything out of it. You know, I'm driving around, it's like, okay, like, I think you get more out of it if you're like at a dealership that you don't trust the car, because like, I never sit there and like, oh, I don't like how this feels, or I don't like how this drives. Like, you're going to get used to it and never think about it again anyways. And you're usually in that moment thinking about other things anyways, like, oh, what's the next step here? What am I about to do? Let alone if it's a dealership and you feel the pressure of it. But at the time when I'm ordering from Carvana, I mean, I will say I bought my home without, you know, seeing my home. But again, I had all the information. You know, there was going to be an inspection, and then with Carvana, there's, you know, they already do the inspections. But like, I bought my home without seeing it, right? Because I had all the pictures and I had all the information. With Carvana, same thing, had tons of pictures, had tons of information. They already go through the inspection. You have the ability to test drive the vehicle at the pickup location, or before you actually purchase the vehicle and hand over the check and complete the purchase. So that's super nice. So you do have the ability to do a test drive. Even better, you have 7 days to return the vehicle. At least the dealerships I've been to, they don't have that option whatsoever. Once it's yours, it's yours. That's it. And there's more information on the listings than I could have ever asked for. Tons of pictures. They highlight all the scratches. They give you a free Carfax report, and more. And I'll talk about later where on a dealership, I was trying to access more information, and it said, oh, it's free, but then you had to put in all your information. It's just like, there's always something with everyone else. Carvana, nothing. It's exactly what you would expect of it, right? And so to top it off, they showed how much I was saving versus Kelley Blue Book, which at that time was about $3,700, which was quite a bit. So here's the deal. Shortly after completing the order and waiting until the pickup date, I started getting notified that my vehicle was getting delayed. Here's the thing. I was very annoyed with this. and I didn't hold anything back. I want to be 100% transparent. I'm always as honest as possible. Like I have and so I wanted, when I was going through that, my thought was, if I have, as I'm going through the buying process, I want to tweet about it, because my emotions in that time, you know, that reflects what I'm thinking about. Now it's been later, I've had time to think about it, and I understand what's going on, and so it's a little bit different. So I was tweeting about it, and I was not happy, right? Who would be happy? Here I am. Here's the deal. I didn't have a vehicle at the time. Someone, you know, about a couple months ago or a few months ago, I had my car parked on the street for just the one time I did it. Someone in the middle of the night, hit and run, slammed the back of my car, totaled my vehicle. And so we were without a vehicle. So that's why, you know, once I was, okay, I had this great buying experience, or from Carvana, it starts getting delayed, I was not happy, right? I'm like, why? Why is this happening? I need this vehicle. I thought I have this all planned. I took off time from work because I'm actually going to drive and pick this up. And it was not great to go through. However, so that was the thing of, like, in the moment, you have your emotions. I'm tweeting about it. There were some other little things here and there where I was just like, I just don't understand. But here's the thing. One thing I realized after the fact, literally later that day, after I tweeted about it and everything, but after the fact, I started realizing, like, Carvana was very transparent, almost like I wasn't appreciating how transparent it was. And I think part of that was I'm thinking, okay, this is just like ordering from Amazon, so I expected it to be like Amazon. And I wasn't comparing it to like buying from a car dealership, right? And so through text, which is a super nice feature, anytime you just, you know, text them, they were letting me know that the reason for delaying the vehicle was that they found, before they were gonna actually send out through, you know, go through the delivery process, that they, through their second inspection, that they found a mechanical issue. And so that they said they were not going to send it to me until they got that fixed. And so that was the reason for the delays, right? And so I find it difficult, you know, based on my personal you know, this is not, I hate, you know, ever talking about dealerships as this one thing, because there's so many out there, but I have dealt with so many different ones, and my family has, and the ones we've had to deal with is, I just find it difficult that any of those dealerships would have told me before, you know, here I say, I want that vehicle. They're spending all the money to transport it to me. Before I hand over the check, that if there was an issue, I don't think they would have told me that. Instead, they would have just said, there's a delay, and we're going to give it to you as soon as possible while they fix it, right? Carvana was so transparent that they were like, hey, there is a mechanical issue with this car. It was 2018. Like even that was like, I was like, what? Like that was part of the reason I was buying it. I'm like, I'll spend a little bit more to get something new, so there's no issues. And they were just so upfront about saying, hey, there's a mechanical issue with the vehicle. So, you know, while like the transparency and honesty is exactly what you'd expect from someone like an online retailer, like maybe like Amazon, it's just not the norm with the car industry. And so from an investment perspective, it's one thing that's interesting is like, you know, Carvana, the benefit they only have one brand to control. Where dealerships, it's all fragmented. There's so many different things. And it only takes one bad experience with somebody that you start lumping it all together, and you lose that trust with all the dealerships. And because, you know, for the most part, that's just how it is. I mean, it's many different brands where Carvana can just control that one. And so my trust with Carvana after that experience increased dramatically. I mean, they literally just told me, hey, there's an issue with the vehicle. Just something I would never expect from a dealership. Later, Carvana notified me that they were also going to, this was completely unexpected, that they were sending me a $250 check. Here's the thing. The car was way more expensive than $250. I mean, in terms of percentages, it was nothing. But here's the thing. It was completely by surprise. I was not calling and complaining. They just were, you know, saying, hey, for your delays, at the end of the call, they were saying, yeah, we want to send you a check just because of all this. So it was unprompted, not asked for. And to me, it just showed that they cared. Like that, it just meant something, right? But in the end, I, you know, had another delay. And then I was like, okay. This was my thought process. I ended up deciding to cancel the order. My thought was that the delays were because of this mechanical issue. I thought, okay, either it's in line and it's going to just take forever for them to get to it, and that seems what's happening, or maybe they have short staff with COVID and anything else, or labor issues, whatever it may be. I just thought, okay, maybe that they're not going, it's this specific car because of the mechanical issue they let me know, so I'm going to cancel the order. And here's the thing. After the fact, what's really, and this is why I like sharing all this, canceling was as easy as going into the app and just hitting cancel. Literally, like if you order something off Amazon and you change your mind and you canceled it, it was that easy. And again, you would think, okay, yeah, you're ordering something online. But here's the thing. If you're going through even like a gym membership, and it's like all the pressure, like it makes it so difficult to do, and or you're doing a dealership, they might say, okay, well, let's find something else for you, or they pressure you to keep going, whatever it may be. There was none of that with Carvana. It was literally just cancel and you're done. And so I also had right, I had a small, I pre-bought like the extended warranty, and I was messaging them, and they said, "Oh, yep, we'll just refund you that." So overall, that was pretty amazing. So this led to then my second order. So after canceling my first order, I decided to look elsewhere first before reordering my Carvana. I wanted to see if there's anything else out there. I was also, because of all the delays, I was like, is there anything I can get now or sooner? Like that was part of my thought. And so CarMax, they only had two options at this time through their whole, whole pool, their whole, if I access their whole inventory. But again, higher mileage with those because there was only those two compared to what I was really looking for, and they weren't available without paying that shipping fee. And I just didn't want to do that. Also, because again, everything else was comparable, like with prices, with every, like, with Carvana, and it's like, okay, then I'm adding this fee, and then you're also dealing with, commission agents, and then it's just overall didn't want to deal with that. Same thing with Vroom, didn't want to deal with the salespeople again. A dealership in my area now, out of the whole state, when I'm going, I spent hours looking online, going from one dealership to another online. Finally found one that did have the vehicle I wanted, or that was, Lincoln MKC, colors, mileage, everything I was looking for. I think it was a little bit more expensive from, compared to Carvana before. And it had like a Carfax report, but not Carfax. And I was like, oh, great. I just want to look at that quick, just like, Carvana, you just click it and you see it. And it's like, oh, just put in your name, email, text, and you can access this. So I did that instantly. I literally got, like within minutes, I got a call. They left a voicemail. Then they text me. I didn't put this in here. Their assistant then texted me as well. They emailed me. And to top it off, they sent me a personalized video message, which I guess, you put a face to the name, but it was just weird, right? And just instantly just kind of turned me off, like, oh, they're already starting to pressure me. And so I didn't like that. And you can say, no, that's not what they were doing, whatever. That's how I interpreted it, and I didn't like it. I didn't like the feeling of it. I had my association with all the other dealerships I dealt with in the past. I didn't want to do it. I go back to Carvana because I'm like, like, okay, all these options are getting ruled out. And that's kind of why the post, this just seems like the only option or the logical option, because I go to Carvana. Now at this time, there was like 14 to choose from. It was insane. And there was like even more. I think there was some, and I don't even know too much about this, but you could even pre-order. And so there was like 17 total. But again, this gave me so many more options. I could sit there and look through them. I could look at different makes and models, or different years. I mean, because like some of them had different grills, but different prices, different miles, different features. And so this ended up, I just picked out the following Lincoln MKC. And so picked that out. And then I was on my lunch break, went on a walk. And on that walk, on the app, within 5 minutes, I completed the entire purchase. And that's proof. I took screenshots. And the reason I took screenshots is because last time I was like, how long did that take? Like, I have no idea. Like, I can make up a number. And 5 minutes just, is such a, quintessential number that people say that. But there was literally, you can see, it started at 39. Once I hit, like, purchase, it started at 39 minutes. And at the end, it was, when it said your delivery has been scheduled, it was 34 minutes. And so the difference between that was 5 minutes. Right? Which is pretty crazy, right? To complete an entire purchase, then like I'm just going to jump the gun here. When I went and picked it up, literally signed a couple papers, and that was it. That was it. I've heard even with the CarMax, you can do it online, go in there, and it still could be another 45 minutes to an hour. Maybe they've changed that within the last 1 year since I've heard that. But this was just hands down amazing. So another reason, though, I will be, completely honest here. Like the one reason that it was, so fast is I decided to do I used a local bank for financing instead of going through Carvana. Their interest rates were pretty high, and so I just did a local bank, which was super easy. Literally, so I dealt with my bank, but then when I went to, with Carvana and here in the app, I just had to put my bank's name and how much the loan was for. After the purchase, I had to just take a picture and upload that of what I was using to purchase. But a funny testament just to how quick and easy this was to purchase. This whole time I wanted to crop this out because I was like, oh, I'm on low battery. That just, what does that say about me, right? But it's kind of a funny testament, like, oh, even if you're on low battery, you can purchase with Carvana. See, Carvana shouldn't be paying for this advertisement. I'm coming up with great things for them. After completing the purchase, I only had to upload the new information, my new, insurance information compared to my first order, because the difference was is I had a new vehicle, different VIN number, different year, and then I uploaded a picture of my check that I was going to use from my bank. And again, I was able to customize I didn't use much of a down payment, but because there was a slight difference in the purchase price compared to my first order, I was able to customize my down payment like to the penny to match what my previous one was, my first order for that check, and so I could use the same check again, which is super nice. And so the only call I received was post-purchase after completing this whole order. It was a few days later, a representative called and they were just saying, hey, your scheduled pickups on time. Do you have any questions? On the day of delivery, I received a notification in the app. I was able to track. I tweeted about this. You could actually like track like the hauler that was going to be sent to you. So that was kind of cool to see where the vehicle was actually at coming to meet up and pick it up. And then I received a text that just said, hey, wanted to reach out and let you know I'm doing your scheduled appointment today. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I'll see you soon. And so the whole ordeal here was, just to explain this a little bit more, Carvana is not currently in my market. They actually are just new to my state. And so I elected to meet Carvana in the closest market to where I lived, because by meeting them in market, I was able to get the vehicle sooner because it wasn't using a third party delivery. And also I didn't have to pay a third party delivery fee. And so it just seemed like a great option for me, right? And so the location was a Walmart parking lot, which at first I was like, that's kind of weird, right? But again, they're not here and I'm meeting them somewhere. And it was large enough for them to pull in. It was a public meeting spot, which is better than some shady, weird spot. And shady as in not like trees, but like shady, like, oh, this is kind of a weird spot we're meeting them. And it was just an easy to find location and easy to find each other. So worked out fine. This was a picture I took. I was like, oh, I gotta take a picture of this. And what's kind of funny, I'm just gonna show you this from the very beginning. It's like the exact same picture and the exact same setup, right? Like that, just a coincidence. So that was a picture of it. Once they offloaded it, I was able to test drive the vehicle before signing and handing over the check. Super nice. After test driving, I just had to sign a few papers. It took no more than a couple minutes to be done with it. Some of the documentation was related to registration. I had no idea they were going to do this. My wife and I, the day before, we were trying to like fill out the registration for our state. And there were so many things I had. Like one of the things they wanted was the square feet of the car, right? There is nowhere online that I could find without actually calculating it myself. And maybe I'm just someone who doesn't know much about cars, but I would think that's the normal. I'm sure someone will be like, oh, you should know how to do that. Well, I don't. All right. And I couldn't. And so I had to like find what, the width and the length was. And I was calculating. I was like, what the heck? And there were so many other things I had no idea what to do. So we like left it blank and we were going to go there and ask them how to do it. But then Carvana's like, oh yeah, we already have that filled out. You just need to sign this and we'll submit it for you. And then you'll have to complete at the end. So that was super nice and unexpected. After completing the purchase, they put on temporary license plate. They did that. Inside, spotless. There's a full tank of gas. That was one thing. I was talking to my dad, and he's like, make sure you check that they have a full tank of gas. Because he was telling me that at a dealership that, both my family has used, like my family, my in-laws, that they have used. The last time he bought, and it was great dealership, but like, they didn't have the tank filled up, and it was just this whole awkward experience with it. They said, oh, we'll drive with you, and they went and paid for it. My dad was sitting in the car. He said it just ruined it. Again, these are all super small things, but it is the small things, right? Those add up. That it's what sticks with you. And because the way I thought about it, it's like if Carvana didn't do one of those things, it might have just been like the last thought I had before purchasing it, and they did them all. And I guess just one other thing about the driver. I actually talked to him for a little bit from an investment perspective, and I was just asking him. I'm like, so like, do you only deliver in Des Moines? And he starts giving me an answer about Carvana. I'm like, no. I'm like, I want to know about you. And so we started talking about it. And he just said one thing. He just said it was good pay. That they have great benefits. He likes being more independent, and that they were if they can get more drivers, they would soon be expanded to more in the state. So later, I should be able to, if I want to do another vehicle, I won't have to drive and meet them somewhere. That they will actually, I'll be within their total radius where they'll actually be able to deliver, which is super nice. And I actually did look up what their drivers or like what their benefits and their pay were, and they actually seem quite good. So at the end, everything was complete and the car was mine. So a little picture of the car, myself, and the hauler. The driver, he did not take the picture. My wife did. The driver went, like, I'm guessing to go like use the restroom or something at Walmart. I was like, okay, quick, let's get a picture with the hauler in there. So closing thoughts. Although I ran into some delays with my first order, it was still many times better than any other car buying experience I myself had or my family has had and went through. I am also happy that I went through 2 different orders and went through those different experiences. Some will point to that first experience that I went through in that first order as a reason to not buy from Carvana. I completely disagree. Carvana showed their complete transparency when there was an issue. They showed their commitment to only sell a vehicle that was going to work, and their extreme ease with canceling. To me, all of those just show it just dramatically reduces the risk from buying from Carvana, and let alone we have a 7-day return period. The second order through Carvana was absolutely great experience. Everything went perfect, and it just shows how the first order was more likely an isolated incident, and likely explains why, you know, more of the orders are like my second order, and that's why Carvana's still around. If they were all bad like the first one, Carvana would probably not still be around, and they wouldn't continue to sell more and more vehicles every single year. Overall, the best decision I ever made was probably reordering with Carvana. But however, given the alternatives of dealerships, CarMax, Vroom, Shift, and all their significantly less selection size, higher prices, less convenience, more fees, and just overall poor experience, reordering with Carvana was likely the only logical option. So I don't believe Carvana's slogan should be the new way to buy a car. Instead, it should be the only way to buy a car. So cheesy, whatever, that's fine with me. Again, not paid. If I was paid by Carvana, they'd probably come up with something better than that and more clever. So in terms of the investment perspective, I have followed Carvana as an investment for a considerable amount of time. I've also been a shareholder for an equally as long of time. And then within actually the last couple months, I've kind of stopped. I was going obsessive with Carlytics, and I'm still obsessed with them. But I spent so much time on Carvana in the last 2 months. Like, the amount of research and analysis and thoughts I've done has dramatically increased. And so soon I'll be releasing some of that material that I've been collected through some posts here on Substack. So make sure you subscribe, just put your email so you can actually get that and you'll be notified about that. I have not released the official introductory post regarding this. Regarding my latest material that I'll be releasing here soon. But as a teaser, I will soon be making available what is over 140 pages of Carvana investment research notes. It's going to be my latest thing. I was trying to think, okay, I have these, there's some of you out there who are already a paid subscriber to the channel that are supporting premium supporters, and I've never had any premium material before. And I was trying to think, okay, I want to keep doing everything, public and free. I like doing these posts, but can I provide some additional value to those individuals? So I'm thinking, what about all my research notes? And so to access these research notes, these will be available to paid supporters or paid subscribers. And for an example of what to expect, I actually just tonight released my Carlytics ones. And there is, I've been doing Carlytics obsessively for a while now, and so there's actually 425 pages of those notes. And so what's funny is Substack says, there's an email limit, but there's no limit to what you can write on Substack. And so I was like, oh, great. I hit that limit. I couldn't save anymore. So I actually had to break up the notes into qualitative and quantitative notes. So quantitative could do earnings, valuations, what the growth factors, breaking out the numbers, and qualitative, all the other stuff, right? And so there is a ton there, but if you're more interested in the Carvana ones, my hope is within the next couple of weeks I can release those. I have it all, but I'm currently working through organizing it, adding some additional notes, and trying to make them the best set of notes possible. And then over time, I'll use those notes to make official posts, but that will likely take me even longer. So that's why I was like, hey, this is a great way to start releasing information, and you can gain information before I make it public. So that's everything. If you know anyone who's looking to buy a car or someone interested in Carvana, feel free to share this post. I hope you enjoyed this post. And I had a great time buying a car from Carvana, and I hope you enjoyed this material. Thanks, everyone.